Stop romanticizing being a full-time artist. That is a topic of today's video, babes. And let me just say before I get started into this whole spiel, um, I I will allow myself to amend any of the things I say in this video as time goes on. This is a documentation of how I'm feeling right now, and having just interviewed, I think, 13 people who are artists, practicing artists, self-described artists, who also have a day job to support their practice, and some of which have tried to be a full-time artist but just had a lot of difficulties either maintaining it, wanting to keep doing it, or just desired a different type of lifestyle in which they were working and making art at the same time. Hello, everyone, what's up? I'm not sure how many people are gonna be in here, but babes, this is a big topic. This is a big topic, and the one that gets me literally heated because tell me why everyone growing up and everyone who I looked up to always talked about wanting to be a full time artist. And lately, hello, sorry. Lately, I've had no idea what that means because everyone's definition of an artist is very different. And this is what I found out growing up, and I've talked about this before, but I always wanted to be an artist, but I had no idea what that even means for me. I still don't know what being an artist would look like. It could either be an illustrator, it could be a webcomic artist, it could be someone who posts videos on YouTube, and that's their practice, or it could literally be somebody who paints, has gallery representation, makes commissions, etc. And I think that as I've further stabilized my understanding of what that could look like for me, which has been just making art on my own independent time and just making cool shit and posting about it and not worrying too much about how it is received by certain tastemakers, people being in galleries and institutions, and just making things that either resonate with people or resonate with myself is what I'm after. And if I do get a gallery representation, fine, amazing, like love that, babe. But if I don't, let's totally chill too. Because there's so many advantages of not having your entire financial income, your income, financial, your entire income being on your art sales. And let me just go over some of the negatives of that. I'm talking really fast because I kind of just had a coffee. Love the coffee moments lately, babe. I used to be a matcha girl, just matcha for like a year, and then I got a lick of coffee, and now I'm on that shit. Now I'm on that, and I'm not sure if that's good for my brain school because I'm talking at the speed of light. But yeah, the cons of being an artist full time and what that means again, let's define our terms, is when your entire income and your entire life is supported by this practice. Now, one of the major cons is that a lot of people's practice is a form of self expression. It's a way, it can be therapeutic for them. It can have a social message behind it. And as soon as you start commodifying it and essentially making it into a luxury good, that's kind of what it is at the end of the day. A luxury good that rich people are buying, putting in their homes and as decoration a lot of times, or storing it in a collection, an empty basement that's like temperature controlled so that they can hopefully make an investment off of your art, your self-expression, your spiritual endeavors within a painting or sculpture. What it means for your entire life to be dependent on that is that basically, like, you don't own your art really. You are making art for the consumer, and everything is contingent upon people liking it. And when you need that outside source of validation and that external validation to literally live your life, support yourself, and feed your kids, babe, that's very difficult. It's very difficult, and it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible because these people then filter your voice. Let's say you need to buy groceries for the month. You're relying on someone buying a painting that's like $1,000, okay? Suddenly that person's like, actually, I don't like it when you use the color blue. Maybe you should like use the color red or orange, and I'll buy it. And it starts off like that, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, like I can change a color, sure. Let me just change a color here and there, and then like I'll sell it, and now I can eat food. Then the next month, they're like, oh, actually, this artist can budge a bit. Like, let me just ask for a bit more. Let me say, oh, you know what? I don't like the color blue, and also I don't like when you include a figure in your drawing. I like it when it's a bit more abstract. but your work is a lot of figurations, a lot of bodies, it's a lot of hands, feet. But suddenly this person, this collector doesn't like it. So then you're like, shit, well, I want to make my own stuff, but I kind of need to eat this month. So let me just remove the hands, the feet, make it more abstract, and remove the color blue, sell it, and then suddenly you can eat this month again. And then it keeps going into a vicious cycle. And yes, these are like extreme examples, but let's say that that happens over a gradual period of time. A gradual period of time to the point where you're actually not sure whether you, one, are okay with this change in your practice, two, if you've somehow also convinced yourself that you're okay with it, but you're actually internally not. Like subconsciously, because this is such a gradual change of you fixing your art to be more appealable, a bit more appealing for a buyer, that you somehow like rationalize it in your brain that you're okay with this, it actually fits into your practice, when in reality, deep down, you know that it's actually not what you want to make. And it could be a difference, again, that is subconscious. Another thing that could happen when you're in this mode of production is you start to think, oh, you know what? I'm just going to make this art, right? I'm going to spend a lot of my time on this not blue, not figure painting, sell it, and then on my own time, I'm going to have my real art practice where I can do whatever I want with it. So suddenly, you've created in that model a day job for yourself of creating luxury goods, commodities for these big institutions or these collectors, which is a bit like your work, but not really what you want to make. And that has become your day job. And then all of a sudden you go at nighttime and make the work you really want. That ends up mimicking exactly what a lot of people, an artist who have day jobs, do already. Do you know what I mean? Like they are having their day job, whether it's at a barista shop, whether it's selling things at, a retail store, or maybe they work corporate. And in the nighttime, they say that for their practice. But the only difference here is that those people who do work day jobs that are separate or maybe tangential or parallel to the art world, but not quite the art world, are able to save more of their creative energy for their work at night. Whereas if you have a limited amount of creative energy and you're spending half of that to make work for a collector, you only have that other 50% to do your actual home studio work. So that's a lot of pressure and a lot of like creative time you just spent on a body of work that you don't love. And now when you do the real practice, you don't have any of it. So that is another con of like being a full-time artist, where things are just completely dependent on those sales. Now, again, I'm not saying all of this to deter you from wanting to be a full-time artist, because you can mutate. And wow, the lighting is suddenly hitting me and it's like not a vibe. You can be an artist and you can mutate and change what being a full-time artist means for you. In this example, I'm using people who are collectors and buyers of your work, but maybe a full-time artist for you is being a child's book illustrator, and you love doing that, and it's already like a commission-based model where you have a project and an assignment for a client, and you're willing to do that, and you love doing that. You love bringing other people's visions to life, and so in that respect, that works perfect for you. You know what I mean? Like you already are okay, and you're setting yourself up initially with the fact that, yeah, I want to help other people's creative visions like come to fruition while also putting my own creative energy into it. And that works perfect for that model. It's just what you want at the end of the day, and what being a full-time artist could look like or means to you. Now, another point that was brought up when I was doing these interview series was people who just like got so anxious over making work that wasn't, what do you call it? They're one, anxious for like their next paycheck, right? And then that like anxiety for this like commission-based model prevented them from making any like creative work that they really aligned with. Or and then having that job made them not have much anxiety because they knew that their paychecks were coming in every 2 weeks. They knew that paychecks were coming in every month, and they could feed themselves, and that they could really experiment in their practice. Again, like let's say you don't have a structured pay. So you're on, again, I'm going to say this so many times, you're on a commission-based model where you have clients coming in every now and then. So maybe you have a couple clients a month. Maybe another month you have 5 clients. But again, the pay is inconsistent. And when the pay is inconsistent and you constantly have to also market yourself either on social media, Instagram, TikTok, to be able to make those sales, there you can one spend all that time and energy into the marketing, into the branding, into positioning yourself as an artist who collectors would want to work with or want to collect work from, and you can still not make your money. Do you know what I mean? Like you could spend 40 hours a week doing all of that, making the work for these clients, but you could still not meet your like basic income that would keep your life going. And you can spend all that time. But then with a job, you can have all that secure, and then you can just like do what you want to do in your private time. Kind of awesome, kind of sick, kind of slay. Another thing I'm going to talk about is when people put social messages behind their work, and this is more of a critique of the institution. Yeah, the risk drives you nuts. Like I feel that because I was thinking about that too over post graduation because I had. Sorry, I was like I'm responding to a comment right now for anyone on YouTube watching this post the live stream. Yeah, I'm also have been in that risk mode post grad when I decided to try to be like a more full time artist vibe, especially because I had social media to kind of help me in my income, and it was so much anxiety. Even right now, I do not have like a stable job. I'm like freelance here and there. I'm on contract to maybe be a barista. Oh my god. If y'all have kept up with my past videos, you know how much I've been struggling to find a damn job in New York. But I've just picked up a lot of side gigs here and there, which has still been very anxiety inducing, but it's a bit more stable than where I was before. And so yeah, I am like exploring that kind of working artist relationship vibe. But going back to what I was thinking earlier about when you inject a social message into your work, right? A lot of these institutions, oh my God, we're getting into critique mode, babe. We're getting into critique mode that could bite my ass later. And again, I will say, I totally am okay with amending anything I say right now for future versions of myself or just the future people watching. If my critiques aren't spot on, that's okay. This is just what I'm thinking about right now. It's that institutions love to position themselves as progressive, as radical. Do you know what I mean? Like when you look at a gallery, they always say we're representing underrepresented artists. We want to platform the voices of minorities, blah 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 blah. But they're only okay with all of these messages when it's contained within their white walls and the galleries and where their collectors are okay with it. Because suddenly there's become a fetish for collecting the most traumatized, oppressed artist. And yeah, it gives some money in the pockets of artists who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to make money if this was like 50 years ago when everyone was super racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. You're giving these people money, but babe, it's become like a little circus show where you actually don't really necessarily care about these artists at all. You have just fetishized their differences and put them on a stage where they're forced to dance essentially for, honestly, maybe an essentialized white viewer, maybe sometimes for the groups that these underrepresented artists are representing, but oftentimes the white dominant upper middle class viewer who's male. And they are just performing for your gaze, for your entertainment. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these gallery spaces are just supposed to be leisure for this upper echelon of society. How many people walk into galleries each day? How many people? Maybe like 50 people. It ain't a bakery, babe. It's not a damn coffee shop. No, it's like maybe like 50 people go into a gallery every day, and it's one for leisure, two entertainment. Really ever is it for, or sometimes it's for like the cultural theorists and people trying to critique society and understanding conversations about what's happening for these artists and contemporary creative voices. But a lot of times that's a lot of like sugarcoating for the underlayer, which is just like white, politically, economically white, upper echelons of society. And it's for their leisure. And so this goes back to thinking about like when you look at The Greatest Showman, right? So such a goofy example, but The Greatest Showman, you have these people who, have y'all watched it? Hugh Jackman, You know, you have this like whole circus of people who are rejected from society, and they're ugly, they're deformed, they're mutated. They are these underrepresented minority artists, and they're put in a circus to perform for other people. And it's like, babes, yes, like you have financially supported these artists, and thank God, like it's awesome that these ugly people, again, actually, they were literally called ugly laws, like back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I think the last ugly law was repealed in like the 1980s, so like very recent. These ugly people, yes, you maybe financially empowered them, and now they can live a life where they can like buy food for themselves and don't have to be like put into hospitals or prisons for being different. But is that liberation? No. No, and it's an exception. You have these institutions often tokenize and have this elite capture of selecting a handful of people who fit their ideals of what it means to be an artist, what it means to be creative, which is inherently coming from these Eurocentric ideals of what that could look like. They're capturing them, taking them out of their whatever spots, saying that these individuals are exceptional for their group. Oh, actually, well, we can put this artist in a gallery because they're exceptional. They're not like the others who they come from or where they come from. And suddenly you're using your voice. And so it could feel good. It can feel good to like, have that voice and have that awesome social message in that work. But then all of a sudden, if the social message is a bit too radical or pushing the buttons just in a way where it actually reveals how these institutions have fetishized or propagandized or commodified these people's oppression and like their stories, then the institution backs away. They're like, actually, we need to drop these artists. We need to drop these artists. They're too radical. They're too much. We love to be on like the forefront of these conversations, but actually not this one. This one we'll sit out of. How can you as an institution position yourself as cultural vanguard, as like that we are the most radical, we are pushing conversations? Thank you. Okay, whatever. We love that. Sure. But then all of a sudden, when you want to talk about Palestine, when you want to talk about the genocide of an entire group of people, you get dropped. It's insane. We saw this happen to an artist in New York. I think I've talked about this, but like they were, I don't know what background they came from, but they were talking about the genocide of Palestinians openly shortly after October 7th. And these galleries and these collectors immediately dropped this artist, threatened the artist, you need to stop talking, you need to like be silent because this is not good for your collectors, you will get like exiled from this art world and this art scene. And the collectors put all of this artist's work on auction at the same time. This is the story I'm told. They put this artist's work on auction like that. And obviously, because this is a commodity and because you are making like luxury goods at the end of the day, when all of your work goes on sale, the value of it drops to basically nothing. This artist's career was tanked because they were talking about these like radical messages, which was really just actually bare bones morality, not even morality and virtue, just like what you do, babe. Like you see an oppressed group, which the galleries apparently love. They say they love it, but then all of a sudden they don't. When you're talking about it out loud, when it's not making the collectors happy, oh right. So what happened to you being like a courageous institutional voice that just loves to talk about radical messages, babe? What happened to that? You know what I mean? And this is another thing where it gets complicated when you are having your whole life being financially supported by these institutions, because they can prop you up as much as they want, but as soon as your voice and what you say in your message isn't said in the right way or take on the right form of what these institutions want, you get dropped. And babes, you have no money. You have no job experience because for the past 20 years, you've been a working artist. You have kids, by the way. I'm just I'm like so intense right now. I swear I'm not like usually like this like worked up, babe. I'm not usually this worked up. But I'm just like throwing these hypotheticals at you because this hypothetical is a person's reality. And it's like, babe, you have kids. You have been a working artist for 20 years, supporting the life of your family. And all of a sudden, this gallery drops you. You have no working experience the past 20 years. You have nothing to put on your resume. Your education was in a fine arts background. what jobs could you have? Because, babe, everyone in the art world just said you're not it. Everyone knows that you were dropped by this gallery, this institution. Suddenly, if you want to parlay into another job in the art world, curation, like cataloger, registrar, restoration, everyone knows your name and you could be exiled from that. So, what job do you work now? What job do you work now that you have to support a family and the career you could have had that they said was good for you, that they said they loved your work and they loved the message behind it? Suddenly, you're left with nothing? Like, girl, what do you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to work at like a grocery store, like a barista job, just like pick some random skills up, maybe go to trade school, maybe go back to school if you have the money to do that with the privatization of education, how these institutions operate as like hedge funds. Like, it's crazy. And so, yes, there's something to say about the financial stability you will get and you give yourself if you start out working a job, perhaps, or you have this outside source of income which is stable, which maybe is like, yes, surveilling you and could not be the most, progressive or whatever, but at least you have a paycheck and you can do what you want to do with your free time. You essentially, like, in an idealized case, you have the free time with this job to make work outside and you're just making cool stuff. And maybe eventually you can get represented by a gallery and maybe you can switch back and forth and maybe be a full-time artist for a year, maybe pick up a job for the next year. But at least then you have some work experience where you can use and fall back onto if the art thing doesn't work out. Now, this is not me trying to be like a parent or threaten or fearmonger or like do all this stuff. I would love to be a full-time artist. I think that would be so slay, babe. So slay and so sick. I'm just pointing a very harsh devil's advocate for what could happen in the art world because the art people love to say, oh, you should be a full-time artist. You should be a full-time artist. But like, when have we talked about the actual reality of the situation? Because, babe, they didn't talk it to me about this in art school. They didn't talk to me about like how difficult it would be or like the actual financial implications, the social interpersonal implications of being an artist. Because let me say another thing. Me saying let me say another thing, even though I'm just like on live stream. Like, babes, like I've been talking. Hold on, I need to sip my coffee. My God. What was I gonna say? Like, oh my God, I've literally lost my train of thought. Is what I'm saying make sense, y'all? Can someone in the comments like affirm what is happening here? Because I'm not sure if I'm saying like talking out of my ass or like doing God knows what with this. And also, y'all, if you can, like the live stream, babes. Please, please. Mama needs a like. Mama needs a like. Okay. But yeah, it's just insane. And if I can have this analysis, being someone who like just graduated college and being someone that like doesn't know anything about the damn world, like, babes, if I know this stuff or can see some of this stuff, then like, girly, what is happening? What is happening? Oh my God. Practicality isn't fun, but it's healthy. Okay, yes, you reminded me of my next point. We have somehow, like, totally, oh my God, let me wipe the camera. Let me wipe the camera, babe. Somehow, we have drawn a complete direct comparison from the entrepreneurial world into the art world and their take on risk and their take on committing, because you'll see this on Shark Tank, right? I actually like have seen multiple clips on Shark Tank. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a TV show where a business person with an idea to start a business will pitch their business idea to 4 sharks, and these 4 sharks will choose whether or not to invest in your business based on if they like it or not. And the moment the people pitching their businesses say, oh yeah, I have a family, I have a job on the side, and I do my entrepreneurial work after hours. The moment they say that, suddenly the sharks are like, oh, you're not actually serious about your business. If you were serious about your business, you would give everything up and you would just do the business. Because, oh my God, look at me. When I was starting my business, I dropped everything and now I'm a billionaire and it worked out for me. So everyone should be as committed as I was or take that on that level of risk. When, babe, it's like, what the are you talking about? This person standing before you is literally saying, I would love to have more money so I can invest more time in my business because, babe, I have a family back home I need to feed, and my daytime job allows me to do that. I am building a business, I'm building my entrepreneurial endeavors, but I just can't take on that risk because I have a family. This is not some like 20-year-old or like 25-year-old with no family, no relationship, who has rich enough parents where if their business flops, they can move back home. No, this is a person who has built a home and a family and need that damn job. And you telling them that they are not serious about their work or their business because they haven't dropped everything is so harmful, so dangerous, and it's just out of the blue like crazy. But this is the same type of conversation you have with people in the art world saying, if you are not 24/7 working on your art, if you don't risk absolutely everything in your life to be an artist, you are not an artist. And you should be shamed for that. And you should be shamed for that because look at us. We are all serious artists. We all took that risk. We all took that jump, but you can't and you didn't because you don't have the guts, the courage, or the gall, I don't know, to do it. And it's like, babe, actually maybe I'm just like trying to be like a person living in this fucked up crazy world, and I'm just trying to like, vibe. I'm just trying to vibe and be like a vibe. But I will say, now I've covered like some of the potential horrors of it all. The people that I did interview for artists who both have an outside job and their own practice, consistently throughout the board, they all said that it is important to learn how to take risks. It's important to learn how to take risks and when to take leaps, how to take leaps, and being comfortable jumping into an unknown where, yes, there could be backlash financially, interpersonally, but you are willing to do something for your work. Because there's a way in which you can relax when you have this outside daytime job, or when you have an outside daytime job supporting your practice. There's a way you can relax and just like not make work or art for like a year, and then it becomes 2 years, and then it becomes 3 years, and then suddenly you haven't made art your like past 20 years of your life, and you're like, shoot, I wish I just took a leap and tried to like put a bit more time and energy into my work, but I didn't because I got like very comfortable in this job and routine. There is something to say about that. And yes, I think like I'm not trying to talk in absolutes, being like any risk is bad and it's just like blah 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 blah. No, it's very true where you do have to take a leap of faith sometimes and put a bet on I don't know, like roll a dice, you know what I mean? Like you have to, it's luck, it's also hard work and putting yourself in positions to be lucky, and understanding that, yeah, it's gonna suck, and it's gonna suck because honestly, like that's just the social structure and the economic structure that we're in, where taking a risk can literally ruin your damn life. Um, but I don't know. It's not to say that there should be no risk ever. And I also have talked to people who have found that they have creative talents outside of just painting. Maybe it's sculpture making, maybe it's acting, modeling, that now that they have like five different sources of creativity, they're able to tap into each one and make a bit of money off of each one. And that money that they would make for modeling or acting would then fuel the practice for the painting, or the paintings that they sell would fuel the modeling and the acting. So there's different ways where you can model your life and your aspirations to be a full-time artist where it could work for you. It's just redefining what that means for you and what you're willing to compromise on. I wouldn't say sacrifice, what you're willing to compromise on in order to pursue that vision. Because some of y'all will be able to take those risks. Me, like I've already talked about my privileged background and etc. As in like I don't have student loans to take care of. I've already talked about all that. Refer back to older videos. I don't want to like talk about it ad nauseum, like crazily, ad nauseum. No, I like to make you nauseous from it, But basically, like I am able, I think, to like just try this crazy art thing, to post my little funny videos or whatever, to say and talk my shit, and make art, and take that risk and have my life basically implode on itself, like maybe career wise, and have the opportunity to build everything back up because I don't have kids. I don't have kids, babe. I don't think I want kids. Maybe I do. Who knows? Don't have kids. Don't have a partner. Working on that one. We're really working on that one. And I have, I think, parents that would take me in and allow me to work a daytime job in my hometown town. My hometown town. What am I saying? English? Like, I can take that risk because I do have like a fallback. Is the drop pretty freaking low? Yeah, but I wouldn't be homeless like taking this risk. I wouldn't be unhoused taking this risk. So yeah, I could take those leaps and that jump, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm still figuring out like what risks I want to take, when I want to take them, and if there is a time to take them, it's definitely now, because babe, like I'm like in my early 20s. People always say like if you're gonna like redo your entire life, babe, do it when you're 20s, when you have like very little responsibility, where you're just like figuring out the world, and when you're figuring out the world at a time where also all your other friends are figuring it out. Because this is my thing about also moving to New York that I thought was fun. Oh my god, I'm moving at a time where all my friends are also in the same boat, maybe like a bit financially, where we're kind of like, damn, like we need a little daytime job, we need to support ourselves, we are willing to just like room and have roommates and blah, 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 blah. Like, but then if I were to move to New York, like let's say when I'm 30, like as I tried the LA art scene, it doesn't work out, and then I moved to New York when I'm 30, it's like, damn, babe, like suddenly my friends who moved to New York like 5 years ago, they have their own apartments, they have, you know, their full-time corporate gigs or corporate jobs, and when we're hanging out, like, I'm like, babe, you got this bill? You got this bill, babe? Like, thank you. Like, we're at more financially uneven spots, and so it's now. The time to move to New York was now. So I did decide to take that leap. But yeah, I guess I've been talking for so long. Do y'all have any questions on anything I've been literally saying? I feel like I've been talking for so long and like not reading the comments too much. How do I deal with people hating on your talents? Oh my god, it happens. Actually, I feel like it doesn't happen that often. In my head, it happens every single day. In my head, I'm like, I have so many ops. I have so many haters. Like I need to push through, babe, because oh my god, they're gonna come for me. But in reality, I don't think that many people have told me too many hateful comments. When they have, I just try to keep pushing on and use it as like motivation to make better work. For example, I got rejected from every single art school I applied to when I was first starting and applying for my bachelor's of arts in fine art, like my BFA or like a BA in art, and that motivated me to make a better portfolio. Recently I just applied to MFA programs, one program, and I spent like literally 3 months on this application. I got rejected. You know what I mean? So like in terms of people not validating the work that I've been making in the ways that I want, yeah, it like hurts your ego, but it keeps you grounded and you're like, okay, let me just make better work. And obviously that better work should not be better in the sliding scale of what an institution thinks is better. I'm trying to separate myself from creating now my own kind of standards for myself and my own goals, and more being led by like a feeling and emotion of like I'm on the right path rather than a tastemaker like an institution, gallery, or like curator of some sort with like a Yale MFA or like a background or blah 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 telling me what work to make. I'm trying to separate myself from that, but I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. It's really difficult, and I'm gonna talk more about like rejection in the art world. I yeah, I went to like a fancy program like 2 years ago. Like that was like Yale adjacent, whatever. But it's like, babes, like I applied to another residency recently. They gave me a score sheet out of 10. Babe, I got a 3. I got a 3 out of 10. Isn't that like is yes, I got a 3 out of 10 when applying to a residency, and the jurors like all said like, no, you're not ready, this is not good, blah blah blah. So you can go to like the fancy programs, you can make art that other people online say is good, and to other people it's just like absolutely awful. And mind you, for this residency, it was 3 different jurors separating that were separated rating my work individually, and like one of them rated my work like pretty high, whatever, like they gave me a 7 on one of the score sheets, but the others was like so low, and it averaged out to like a 3 point something, and I was like, fuck, like I should just quit art. I should just quit art, but no, like that's not the vibe. The feedback that they gave me, I think most of it was that my work was like inconsistent. Not only the form was inconsistent, but the quality of each piece was inconsistent. So like one of my pieces would be like a solid 7 and the other would be like a 1. You know what I mean? So it's all over the place, and like dealing with that was crazy. I'm like, oh my God, like in your BFA program, or your if you go to school for undergrad, they'll hype you up, they'll put you on a pedestal, they'll be like, yeah, this is good, you're making great work. And then as soon as you're outside the world, like you get knocked down, babe. You get knocked down a peg, and you have to be comfortable getting knocked down and getting back up. Getting back up, babe. Oh my gosh, what's up? Oh, basically, I was talking about how I applied to a residency, and they gave back like the score sheets or whatever, and I got like a 3 out of 10. I got a 3 out of 10, which is just so goofy. They're basing the scores off of a portfolio that I gave them. And this is another thing about like opportunities and like residencies, which I'll go into more. But a lot of people pay so much money to apply. Like literally when I'm like thinking about like my budget for the next month, I need to get better at budgeting. I actually need to get better at budgeting, because it actually gives me so much anxiety, where I know this is like a very privileged thing to do. But like I was like, oh my God, I can't like budget certain things because it gives me so much anxiety. But basically in the coming months, I'm like, damn, I need to start like saving money for or putting money aside for residency applications, because they're like 20 to 50 bucks per residency. This was BMIS, I think. BMIS. But yeah, it's so much money, and oftentimes these people make so much money off of this damn application. And the one that's basically, I'm not gonna say it's a scam, because I'm applying to these things still. It's not the application fees for residencies, where there's housing for you, and where if you get in, you have a stipend and you can make your art and blah 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 blah. It's the type of applications that are publications for magazines, okay, that are not even printed yet. And it's $20 to submit your work to a magazine, and there are like 1,000 people that apply each cycle, and these magazines are like either once a month or 3 4 times a year. So let's just do the math, babe. If your application fee is $20, okay, and 1,000 people are applying to be in your magazine, and you have to actually, and I think this one magazine actually had you, if you got it, pay for the printing of your edition. They wouldn't even send it to you for free. You had to pay for your own edition. They're making 20,000. Wait, am I literally doing this math correctly? No. Am I? Yeah, they're making $20,000 per round off of you submitting your work to them. And babes, like, what? I can tell you right now that it doesn't take $20,000 to fucking print 100 damn magazines. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, oh, we're sending it to the best galleries, the best institutions, and you're paying for exposure. Babe, I'm paying for maybe a chance at exposure, and you're selecting maybe 20 artists out of the 1,000 that apply, which is honestly just a crapshoot. And then you're gonna charge these people 20 bucks to apply to this fucking thing 4 times a year, maybe 12 times a year. You're a scam. You're a scam, babe. You're literally scamming these artists who are just absolutely so desperate for an opportunity, where they're willing to pay for that money. They're willing to save money to pay for this opportunity. I've been there. I've applied to these things. You know what I mean? And it literally just goes. It's. I'm not gonna say that like the art world is almost like a pyramid scheme, but like it's just funny how sometimes like these publications, these opportunities will basically prey on people who are just like struggling the most, who are so desperate for an opportunity to share their work or to make it, where they're spending their last $20 for the month on your damn application. And then in the end, oh my God, this is the gag of it all. This is the gag of it all. In the back door, a lot of these publications are also receiving submissions sponsored by galleries. So a lot of these galleries who represent artists will then sponsor the application fee for the artist to get to this opportunity, and also slide a little email being like, hey, we're this really big gallery, we have this artist, and they're interested in applying for this publication opportunity. Here's the artist's work, would love to hear back, right? And obviously, if you're the juror or you're putting on this magazine, you want to be on the good side of this gallery. And you also want to show an artist who is known to be good. So you pick that artist. You're not sifting through the 1,000 application fees and blah, 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 blah. Or maybe you are, but you're spending an exponential amount of more time on this artist who you know comes from a gallery. And you put them in the magazine. So realistically, these 1,000 people are fighting for like 5 of the 20 spots because the other 15 are already decided in their brainsicle. Like not actually, but like in their brainsicle, it's already done. So it's insane. Yeah, and so being a successful artist is very much based on PR/marketing. It totally is. And the craziest, the gag of it all, babe, is that a lot of artists who market themselves online and just are doing it themselves because Lord knows, like, you gotta do a lot yourself in the art world, are taken less seriously because they're advocating for themselves in a way that maybe isn't appealing to an institution. They are suddenly breaking apart this idea that, oh my god, I need to make a longer video on this, but like, artists who post their work online and like are silly and post their lives online, they're seen as unserious artists. It's like, oh, we see the person behind the art. Suddenly it ruins the mystique of like this artwork just appearing out of thin air. We're seeing how you're making it. We're seeing how you're a serious artist maybe, but you also have a goofier side, and we don't like this goofier side. We don't like that collectors can see this goofier side in you and that they can see the labor that is going into your artwork, because we love the mystery behind it. We love not seeing how this artwork is made and how it appears, because when an artwork appears out of thin air, you can sell it for $5,000. You can sell it for $20,000 because you're not seeing the labor that goes behind it. And so you have just fetishized the object by removing the labor that goes behind it, hiding it, and therefore just assigning it a value that could be okay in the market. But because an artist who is advocating for themselves wants to show the process behind the scenes, because maybe they just like sharing the process, or maybe that's just what they have to do to maybe get their artwork seen on social media, you don't like it. Do you know what I mean? And like these artists, the galleries will just handpick these artists who come from elite institutions, who maybe have a social media, maybe don't, that is basically a curated feed of just like close-up detail shots of their painting or drawing with 70 followers, following 100 maybe, with a blank profile picture, getting like 5 likes on a photo. Like, institutions will eat that shit up because guess what? There's zero branding for this artist. There's a mystique behind it, and whatever branding that needs to happen, the institution can take care of. The institution can care of, they can take control of the narrative, and they can take control of how you're seen to collectors. So that's better for them. It's better for them. And it's just all crazy. It's all crazy. It's all a shit show. It's all crazy and all a shit show. I don't know. Do anyone have like more thoughts on this, or any kind of like personal anecdotes that they'd like to share? You would think it's the other way around. You know what's funnier too? When artists in the art community love when artists show their personality and their life online, or have like a bigger following, when they've already been represented by an institution. Because babe, then it goes top down, not down up. If the average artist who has no gallery representation is posting their life and posting their artwork, it's unserious. It's not a vibe. It's kind of tacky. But when artists who's already represented by a gallery starts posting their life, suddenly it turns to the top and it goes down. And it's like, oh, like, well, we're so relatable. We're just like you. And, oh, you know, we can be silly goofy too. We're not these like super ultra serious artists. And suddenly it seems like a luxury to get a bite of the inside life of like a Sasha Gordon or Elisa Yuskevich. You're like, oh, I love seeing this inside scoop. But it's never right for the person who started there. Because if you're able to start there and have the social clout without the gallery, why would the gallery support that? The gallery wants you to need them. So it comes top down. And it's the same thing like in high fashion, where high fashion took hobo chic and ran with it. Because if you come from a financially insecure background and you have absolutely nothing to wear but these clothes that are torn up or have rips in them and whatnot, it's suddenly gross and cheap. But then these like high fashion brands started taking that aesthetic, put it on the runway, and then said, oh, well, we're actually giving representation to people who have the everyday average working class person. And we're giving representation to that. We're putting it on the runway and we're showing you. But materially, economically, they're selling that garment for thousands of dollars. And the aesthetic is suddenly okay for these people and high fashion people to have rips and tears in their clothes because they're coming from the top down, not down up. And so it's just an insane process that is absolutely mirrored in the art world. Yes, I just worked at Freeze and everything based off of marketing, whether or not these institutions take your work seriously. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would like to say that I still have my dream of being in a gallery and being institutions, but in no way is that my end point. And I think that I have to recognize like me going like off like on all these institutions. I still would love to partake in it because I see that as a means to get my work out there. You know what I mean? I'm still like, call like a class trader, call it like, I don't know, someone who is like a hypocrite. We all live in certain contradictions and we're all trying to like live in this crazy time where, yeah, a part of me is very selfish and would love to be in a gallery and would love to get representation and would love an institution to back me. I would love that. Okay, I'm not gonna like sit aside and be like, oh, well, I am so jaded by the art world. I hate everything, blah, blah, blah. I feel like these critiques are very valid, and there are some galleries and institutions that are doing a fantastic job of pushing against this. Okay, I know I've been like a negative Nancy. Okay, and let me just like finish that point actually. It's hard when you're in a sea of contradiction to swim. Most of the time I find myself drowning in it because I'm like, how can I at all make a cultural, economic, or like social critique when I'm directly contributing to those systems? You know what I mean? But it is about that, but there's a sweet spot where you exist in contradiction, but you also push through your actions to make that contradiction a little less glaring and to actually like thrive in it. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I'm trying to situate myself. It's so difficult and it's obviously impossible, but everyone is just trying to make it themselves. And it's, I think, my responsibility as I'm kind of like navigating all this to maybe share some of those contradictions. So one, like if I do happen to blow up or get represented by an institution, there's record of me being like, get your ass in check, bitch. Don't be like an arrogant, and ground yourself. And I will need that. I will need that to keep myself in check. I will need this video if I ever like blow up in the art world or whatever to look back on. And if I become that arrogant, the elitist bitch, then babe, I need to hold myself accountable. And this is me doing that in the past to my future self if that happens. Do you know what I mean? But like, oh my God, I went on such a tangent. I think that was non-coherent at all. But it's, hello everyone. Also, let me just say, can y'all like this damn live stream? Like the live stream, babe. That would really help me out. Even though this is not monetized, I actually don't like when there are ads during the live stream, so I actually took it off of my lives. I'm like, I should be making more money, but like, I don't know. What was I gonna say? What was I literally gonna say about art world? Oh, yes. Not being a negative Nancy, here are some people who I think are doing a fantastic job of supporting artists in a way where you're in the institution, but they're like just baddies at it. One, Alexis Hyde. I will type into the chat. Alexis Hyde runs Quinn Emanuel Art Residency. I'm not spelling that at all correctly, but I'm just pointing this out. Alexis has always been a girl's girl, a baddie, and has intentionally made an art residency program that gives a stipend to artists when they're selected. So it's not one of these residencies where you actually have to pay for your living and your housing. No, Alexis intentionally made this so that, one, I don't think there's like an application fee, and if it is, it's very minimal. It's not like $20-$50. I think there's zero application fee. It's just like an email that goes to an inbox, and artists selected get a stipend. That is a perfectly great model that like more institutions honestly have the financial means to do. Do you know what I mean? And like, why are these people not taking it? Like, how is someone who started a residency from the ground up? Alexis hired like a good friend from LA. Sorry, you know her as well. It's like, how did someone with such little well, yes, there's like a law office like backing and supporting her vision, which is amazing. But how did this like almost like random startup like effort, how is it more ethical, whatever? I don't know what role ethics has in anything, but how is it more fair than these big institutions that have thousands of dollars and they're just not using it? They just want more. They want to take more from the artists by having application fees, having them pay for their own housing and their food, even though you as an institution are profiting off of their work. But this like startup, this mini startup, is able to do all of that to support the artist. But you mega institutions with billions of dollars can't. Maybe that's an exaggeration. Millions of dollars can't. Right, right. That's crazy. That's literally crazy. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of another great example of like a gallery or a space that's doing an amazing work. Yes, okay. I have another friend, Rebecca Shippey, who I interviewed for Art Talk Collective, and Rebecca Shippey runs this thing called the Triangle Projects. And the Triangle Project is an artist-run space. Rebecca is an artist themselves, and they basically collaborate with a lot of artist-run spaces like the Orange County Museum of Art, which, yes, it says museum in the name, but it's actually run by artists. And artists, they look out for each other. A lot of these artists look out for each other, and yeah, the Triangle Project shows established artists as well as artists who are just coming out of college, emerging artists, people without an art education, with an art education, a variety of different artists that just have like works that align with like Rebecca's vision for the show that they're curating, but is doing it in a way where it's making it accessible for all people to participate. It's not a mega institution that's trying to profit off all these artists. The point of the participating in the Triangle Project's art show is not to make money, not to sell work, but just to create a space where people can just come and look at cool art. You know what I mean? And like catch a vibe. Like that is really appealing to me. But yes, the modern art world is why I've decided to be an art teacher instead of a BFA in fine art. Real. I love that for you. The job hunt, babe. I have half of a barista job. I have half a barista job. I have half of a video editing job, maybe another half of a video editing job, and maybe another half of a video editing job. I'm just literally picking up side gigs. Like I was interviewing at multiple bakeries, got rejected from a bakery. I actually walked into the store, and then the person was like, "Wait, I think I've seen your art videos before." And then all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, cool! Like maybe this will help me get the job." No, babe, I got a text this 2 days ago being like, you did not get this position, but thanks for coming in. I was like, damn, after all of that, babe. But no, for the other barista job, it was at this bakery that I originally interviewed for because I got a referral from a friend who had previously worked there, or someone who had met at a gallery who previously worked there. And I was like, oh my god, can you like hook me up with like a job at your past bakery? You said they're hiring and they need people. I would love to get my name thrown in the hat. So I literally need a referral to get this damn bakery position. Worked the first trial day, did not hear back, babe, for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden I got a text like this weekend being like, oh my gosh, hey Brett, like not sure if you're free in the next hour, but we need you to come in if you can because someone just called off sick. And so my ass hopped on the train, fucking 50 minutes from Bushwick to the Upper East Side to work at this bakery for 4 hours. And then I was like, oh my god, does this mean I get the job? And then he's like, actually, we'll have you as a contractor, but like, we low-key don't need you right now. I'm like, fuck. So that's where my job hunt is right now. I'm applying to things every single day, but who knows? Inconsiderate, yeah. But honestly, like, I get it. Like, every damn queer artist is looking for a barista job, and it's just crazy out here. So I completely understand. But yeah, I wish I got a job. Things might be in the works soon, but who knows? Let's see. I don't know, how are y'all job searches going? How's it for y'all? Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. I think that's just the New York vibe though. Who knows? I'm starting to think that I should just like speaking of risk taking maybe. I know actually with past like social media savings, I could just honestly get a ceramic studio membership and start making my ceramic PP tigers again and selling them. So I might just like take that little investment, like risk, and do that again if I don't get a job soon. Because honestly, if all else fails, I will just end up moving back home. Like that's a possibility. I will try and make that not a reality, but I'm will. Oh my god, what is happening, babe? I'm willing to take that risk to be in like a little ceramic shop and like place that little investment for these PP tigers. So maybe that's another way I can get some money soon. But yeah, I go to art school and do dog walking. Oh my god, babe. How do I become a dog walker? Like you need to message me. I need to become a dog walker. I love walking. I love all this stuff. Oh my god, I'm like talking so loud. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? I don't really know. I think I need some milk. Oh, I need to be a dog trainer and a dog daycare. Damn. Okay, I'm looking at the time. I've been live streaming for 56 minutes. If everyone in here can like this damn stream, that'd be so slay. That'd be so slay, and that would help me so much. But yes, if y'all can like it before I log off, that'd be so awesome and help. I'll answer one last question. Have I tried the Chicago art scene? I've heard good things about the galleries there, helping incubate artists because it's a lot less competitive than New York or LA. Honestly, I would love to. Oh, thanks, George. I would love to go to Chicago and check it out. I was there for a hot second this past year in I think October, and the vibe was really great. It was really awesome, chill, by the Great Lake, right by the lake. I love seeing the water. It was windy, it was cold, but the art scene, I caught a tiny bit, a lick of it, and it did seem really awesome. So maybe that'll be the next stop if New York doesn't bode too well for me. But who knows? My advice is that you look for a job that's something with a huge demand. Yeah. We'll see, babes. I'm on every website ever. Indeed, LinkedIn, Craigslist, listing projects, New York Foundation for the Arts, like all the above. But yeah, fingers crossed. I have faith. I have a job interview tomorrow for a video editing position that's freelance. So hopefully that happens. Could really use that honestly. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank y'all so much for watching. This was such a fun live stream. I think I'm gonna do more of these. If you want it, let me know. And I appreciate y'all so much. Goodbye.